Hello, my name's Sue Lewis, and I'm going to run you through this webinar, which is about the Careerpilot reporting zone, specifically focusing on how you can access reports and the data that's generated when your students are using the site. I'm going to talk about how you can view those reports by group or individual, what needs to be done on the student side to create the data reports, and how you could use the reports. So just to run you through the student side, I know you'll probably know it. Here are our popular tools. This is our three-stage career process we try and teach the students they can use throughout life. A lot of our resources are structured under these three stages, but they can also look directly at pathways. But the significant thing is the students should be registered and then signed in when they're using the site, which is the top right of the home page. And the significance of that is that they then get access to all our career tools. So when they like something of interest, they add it here, and any quiz they do gets saved here. That creates their report for them, but also creates data that you can access in the reporting zone. So when you sign in at the same place as the students, careerpilot.org.uk, and in the top right hand corner. But you'll be taken into the admin area because you're an administrator. And the advantage of an admin login is you can actually move through three of the zones of the site. If you want to look at all our resources for delivering our great career lessons, you can click here and see the members advisor zone. If you want to play as a student, see what the student experience is like, you can click here. That will take you through to the student site. You could try all the activities, you can create your own report and get a feel for what the students will be having a chance to do. When you're in the student site, as long as you're signed in, you can go to the advisor zone, which is top left, and get access to all the resources. When you want to get back to the admin area, just click on the arrow next to your name, click on admin, and you'll be back in the admin area, which will look like this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is show you around some of the key things to do with reports. There is a different webinar which explains about how you set up students, staff and groups, which is the orange part here of the dashboard you can see in the admin area. What we're going to focus in on today is looking at reports, and you could do that by a school group or any group you've set up, or by individual. If you want to know how to set up a group, that will be in the other webinar I mentioned. Okay, so reports by group. So if you clicked on that, you would you can get to it in various ways. You can click here, or you can click on the dark blue summary on the left hand side, and then you'll see all the different ways you can look at a group. So students are always in a year group when they register, but you might have created other groups too, like tutor groups, and if you have, you can look at reports by those groups too. They will be in your list. But for now, I've just got year groups. So always actions in Careerpilot are on the right hand side. So by each year group, there's a range of things I can do. And if I click on choose report, this little summary will pop up, which I've just made bigger. So I've got a few options here. I can look at who's in the report and various other things as well. So I'm just going to show you those, but also show you how the information gets into that report. So group members, it's a great way to just look and check your members of that group, especially if you're looking at a tutor group, you're about to run a session. It's always good to just check, like, have I got everybody registered? And also if you're a pathway planner school, which is the triage tool you can choose to add on to your Careerpilot site, this is where you'll see a list of all the students, and it will show you if you've got the pathway planner switched on for them. So this is a year 12 group I'm showing you, and some are saying no. So I'm about to run a pathway planner session. I need to sort that out. And the way you sort that out, if you are a pathway planner school, is you go into groups and make sure that you've created a pathway planner group and make sure those students are in that group, and then that will be switched on for them. Okay, so group members is a good way to check the students. It's also a good way to check their email addresses. So if they're saying they can't get back in, you can have a quick trawl through and see if there's anything that stands out about their email address being wrong. So if they've forgotten to put .uk, then they're never going to be able to use forgotten passwords. So that's a useful summary, and you can print that out for your tutors as well. Download, print out. Okay, so I'm just going to talk now about the next one down, which is the job sector choices. So to get data in here, your students will have had to do some things on the student side. They will have had to look at sectors, drill down to a sector like this one, engineering design. They can add the sector. They could say whether they're just exploring or they're definitely interested, but they can also go down to the level of job profiles. And if they've done that, then there'll be additional information in the individual reports. But if they've been tagging sectors, then here is the sector report. And this is showing you what sectors your students are interested in, whether they're just exploring or whether they're definitely interested. So quite useful if you're thinking of planning encounters for students to see what would be particularly interesting for different groups of students at your school. You could download these reports. I've just done an example here. I downloaded it, I saved it as an Excel file, and now I've just color coded it myself so I get a feel for how many students are interested in the different job sectors. So I can use this when I want to plan my encounters or if I'm thinking about work experience, for example. Another report you can look at is the provider choices. So again, if you're going to have data there, the students will have had to done this activity. So in Find a Provider, there's a map view, but if you direct them to use the list view, this is where they can see all the providers and they can set up their search criteria. I just want to see colleges, or I want to see universities and colleges around this postcode area or around this city or town. Then they can actually tag the ones they're interested in. They could say, I'm doing this already, I'm considering this, I've applied, and that will be collated in the provider choices report. Qualification choices, they can also be thinking about what qualifications they're doing currently, what they want to do in the future. So they go to go to qualifications in the student side, tag what they're interested in, and that's going to create a report for you to show you who's interested. So maybe you're interested to find out who's thinking of moving on to level 4 after year 12, for example. So that could be an interesting way of gathering that information. Or maybe for GCSE years, you want to know who's thinking about level 2, who's thinking about level 3. They have to have tagged things here for you to get that information in their report. You can also look at values that they're interested in or subject choices. So to get that data, they will have had to indicate it from the student area which particular values are important to them. So they've clicked on, I want to be creative in my working life, and that will actually, and they click that they want to add it to their values, and then you'll be able to see the reports. Start with the subjects. Another one, if they like a subject, they can say, I want to add this to my subjects. If they do that, you'll be able to see that information in the subject choices report. Tasks completed is a good one because if you set them activities to do either in the classroom or as homework, then you can go back in and check what they've done. So it will tell you which of the main Careerpilot activities they've actually completed. You could download all these things if you want to share with other people as well. That's called tasks completed. Now, the next one I'm going to show you is the next steps quiz. So if you want to get this data, you'll have to make sure the students have done this. So in their area, that'll appear in their career tools. And this is asking them how likely they are to progress to level 3 and level 4 and what might stop them doing that. So it's a good indicator of what they see as the potential benefits, but what they see as the potential barriers. So that might help you to do some interventions that would support those students in making the next step decision. So these are the questions we ask. How likely is it you'll go onto level 3 or 4? What might be the benefits? What do you need to know more about? And what might actually stop you going? And then in the group reports, you can actually see what they've said. So it's quite a lot more text in this one than some of the other visual reports, but it is a useful way to find out if there's particular barriers in your student group that you might be able to support. And what I did is collated that across different year groups from different schools for a particular project, and that enabled me to see what the particular things were that for those students could be an issue. Things to do with not being able to afford it, not know where anybody else had been, not wanting to move away from home. So it's quite useful to have that information. The other thing you can see is in terms of a group report is if your careers advisors are writing their report straight onto Careerpilot, you'll be able to see all the last comments or action points that were agreed with the student. So this might be something that's useful to share with a tutor. So if you've got a tutor group, you'll be able to download all the last reports written by the careers advisor for that group or the last action points. So this is just my training site, but it could be quite detailed. And that would mean that your tutors could be supporting whatever the careers advisor's doing, or the head of year, or however else you decide to um, download and report. So just to explain, the skills profile, which is another very useful tool within Careerpilot, you can only see the results of that through an individual report, which I'm going to show you in a minute. But just about everything else you can see as an individual report, but also as a group report. So you can collate these things and find out by any group you've set up who's interested in what. So if we go back to the reporting zone, we've looked at the group reports. I'm just going to mention now about the individual reports. So to do that, you need to go and find your student. So if you click on individual reports, you get a list of all your students, which you can sort by year group or search for a specific student. When you find them, there's an option to choose the different reports you would like to look at. I've just made that bigger. So you could look specifically at the job sector choices, and this will show you the jobs that they're indicating as well. This is where you find that individual, more detailed information. And some of the other things I've shown you already, but here you can see them individually. Um, so here I'm showing you the job sector choices will show, just like in the job sector report with a tick, but also this will show any particular jobs they're interested in and the results of their job sector quiz where they get mapped to sectors that seem to chime with what they're interested in. Also in the report by individual, the skills map. So if they've done that, then you'll be able to see what skills the quiz identified and anything they've added themselves and any examples of activities they've done that they've added themselves. And they can even say whether it's a school activity. So if you've organized something, you get them to go back to the skills map, they could put that in and you've got a record here of that activity, but also what skills they feel that activity gave them. Just show you how that works from the student side. So the students who complete the skills profile, they get asked about things they've done in their life, their learning. We have a post-16 version which also asks about experience of work. So I've kept going with a hobby or sport out of school. And for everything they tick, we show them more skills they've had a chance to practice or develop through that activity. All those skills then are banked. So teamwork for the student, when they did the quiz, they ticked 5 things, which was evidence of teamwork. The idea is they keep adding their own examples. So it could be an encounter that you've arranged through school or something they do in their own time. So it could be about work experience, and they could put in what they did. They can add the date if they want to, and then they could say what skills that activity gave them. And everything they add is being added into their skills profile, so they can use this later when they come to apply. They can also compare their skills to a job. They can put in the name of a job here, see the skills the job requires in the pink bit, and then see their own skills and see what they might need to develop additionally or what they've got already. You can also download their full report. That's the thing. I'll show you how you can access that full report in a minute. But that is everything that they've done, and they can see all that, but you can see it too. And you can also view any previous annual reports because a report is saved at the end of an academic year. So there's always a record through every year of where they were in their career journey, but there's always the live report as well. So I use this mainly, view full report, and this is where I can add my advisor report or comments as well. So the full report will be visible. It'll have all the details of all the different things they've been doing in the career tools, their skills, their qualifications, their job sectors, and their jobs. But also, I can add my report or actions I agree with the student if I'm the careers advisor, for example. Okay, so I can add comments, I can add reports, and they'll be visible to the students, but also be on this full report, which I could then download and maybe share with a parent with the student's permission. One great thing you can do on the reports, which we use a lot, is you can actually tag to anything in Careerpilot. So instead of having to write a big long report about different degrees, in this case is, I can put an internal link. I identify when and where I want my link to be, so I highlight it. I then see the contents of Careerpilot, and I can actually drill down to, I've clicked on apprenticeships in this case, and that will be a direct link to our apprenticeship section. I could do an external link. So if I want the student to know about something else, I could get the link to it, and then I could insert that as an external link. So it's just like a hyperlink. Just to mention, if you are a Pathway Planner school, all your results and bookings will be available here. So by any group you've set up that you've attached the Pathway Planner to, you'll be able to see all your dashboard of data, what pathways they're interested in, how ready they are for those pathways, and there's lots of actions you can take, like making a booking and various other things as well. But we do a lot of training on the Pathway Planner, so you can sign up for that to get the full details. Okay, just a few things to mention about using that report. If you want to set work for students, then looking at the tasks completed report is a good way to see if they've done that. If you want to plan encounters, then you could look at getting them to go back onto the skills profile, recording that encounter and saying what skills they used. The job sector report can be useful in helping you think about the encounters that might best meet your students. If you want to show evidence of job exploration for Gatsby 2, for example, then you could show the job sector report. If you want to provide a summary of information to tutors, then you could send them the last advisor comments report that was written and the last action point the students have written for themselves or has been agreed with the advisor. That's if the advisor is writing their report straight onto the site. If you want to meet individual needs, then you could look at the full report of the students, maybe before you meet them for a one-to-one. Some schools use it as part of their parents' evening. They get the student to print off their report, and that can be discussed alongside academic information too. That full report is really great if you're a guidance advisor because it gives you lots of information so you can actually start your guidance conversation based on what you know already about the students. So you can look at the individual report and look at the full report and you'll get lots of information that will inform your practice. So good luck with using the reporting zone and do get in touch if you have any specific things that you would like help with.